ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ትችላላችሁ።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ ጥያቄና መልስ የክፍል ስራዎች ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁት አይነት በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ ከናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
So last class we have seen about recruitment. Recruitment is a process of searching prospective or potential candidates from internal and external sources to fill the vacant position as per our job analysis or based on human resource planning. So recruitment is the third element of human resource management. The first element of job human resource management earlier than we have seen, that is what? Job analysis. The second one is human resource planning. The third one is what? Recruitment. Then the fourth one is selection. So today we'll see about selection. What is selection? Simply for sake of discussion, what is the difference between selection and decision? Or simply for sake of discussion. Zimbal and directly come and Gabaski. What is the difference between selection and decision? Both are the same. We can use interchangeably as a synonymous word. We can say that it's employee decision. When you define a decision, decision is a process of choose the best one is from the given of alternative. What about selection? Selection also the same. When I say it is definition, that is a process of choosing or selecting the best one from the given of candidates, or from that is a given available alternative from available alternative. So what is the difference? Selection and decision. Decision and decision making. Select and selection. What's the difference? Anyone? Selection and decision. When you define both, the difference of the two is what? The process of choosing the best one from a given of alternative. So what is the difference? Selection and decision. Yes? Yes? Say something. Selection. What does mean decision? Decision. When there is decision? Abed? Decision is nothing. Decision is nothing but say something. What is decision? Yes? No idea. No idea about decision. Anyone? Please say something. Don't worry, you may not be correct. Say something. Anyways, is correct or not? Don't worry. Yes? Decision and selection. Yes? Who is you?
Mohammed, can I come in, doctor?
Possible. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. The selection, I think it shows the process of comparing between the available items.
Yes.
And decision is after analyzing these available items, you can choose and decide which one to be fitting to the position you are in need of working. I mean, you are in need.
Yes. Okay. Possible. Is correct.
Decision after analysis and
correct.
Selection.
Okay. Abed. What about selection? I think today also I think there is not network problem.
Can I come in? Sorry.
Okay, possible with you.
ቅድስት
Good. Continue.
So I think from selection is like selecting, maybe now we are talking about regarding HRM, like selecting from the CVs, the best, let's say with 5 or 15. It depends the numbers. It's selecting of some priorities, but decision is after the selection process. We have to analyze that one to decide in 1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, to conclude, I think decide.
Yeah. Okay. Correct.
No.
So decision is that is what the result or output of a selection. When you select the best one, that's through decision is. When you choose the best one, how to make what decision? The process is known as decision making. When you choose the best one, that is what selection. So in that selection process, then what to talk a decision or that the process is decision making. ካሉት 10 ወይ 15 ተመልካቾች ውስጥ እኮ ሁለቱን መጨረሻ ላይ ወስደን ለዚህ ቦታ ፊት ያደርጋሉ ስንል ምን እያደረግን ነው? ዲሳይድ እያደረግን ነው። there is a decision here. Then the process is what? Decision making. So that is what selection. So selection is a process. Selection is a process, but decision is output or the result of what? Selection. So then when I've seen selection, it is the next element of what human resource plan, which is next to recruitment. After recruit, after invite them, then when we have that is a number of applicants, then we'll try to choose that is what the best one from the potential applicant or from that is what prospective candidates. So selection is a process of choosing from among the candidates from within the organization or from outside. The most suitable personnel for the current position is known as a selection. So selection is a process. So when you choose the best one, that is what the decision. Then when you select the best one, maybe you can use different criteria, but those criteria maybe differ from organization to organization or country to country. But there are common criteria or common elements in over the world, in all organization, in all situation, in all condition. Then one is education, experience, physical characteristics are common criteria elements in all condition and in over the world. So we can that is what set as a criteria. We can say that's a criteria. The basic elements of those criteria are education, experience, physical characteristics, and other selection personal characteristics, maybe behavior or ethics or others. Then selection has its own process. The first step of selection is application. That will simply fill the application form. That's the first step of selection is filling application form. Then after filling the application form, the next step is what? What is the next step? What is the next step? What is the next step in your organization? Yes, when you apply as an applicant in somewhere, then you directly that is fill the application. Then the next step is what? As a manager also, what is the next step? What is the next step? After filling the application form, the next step of selection process is what? What is that? Yes, when I've seen the reality or when I've seen actual process of that selection in organization or other organizations, especially in our countries. Then next we'll see that is what? What are the selection process in over the world or from science aspect? What are the selection process? So we'll see. First, better to see that is what? That is what selection process in organization and other organization, especially in our country contexts. What are the selection process? It's better to talk together. That is about selection process because it is already known. Everybody you know about the selection process. One or another way already you passed in such process as an employee or maybe as employer or as a manager. Then one or another way you pass this process. You know about the selection process, so we can discuss each other. So what are the selection process? Please say something that's one by one. What are they? ምን ሂደት ነው የምንከተለው select ስናደርግ especially from your organizational context. From your organizational context. What are the selection process in your organization? በእናንተ መስሪያ ቤት selection processoቹ ምን ምንድን ናቸው?
Hello. Can I come in, doctor?
Two person. Who is come first?
Sanyi.
Who is you? Who is you?
Sanyi.
Sanyi. Okay. Sanyi.
Yeah.
Come first.
Okay. The first one is we have examination.
Examination. The first?
Examination. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. In our organization.
Directly.
First, we will give exam.
So
After
directly
exam,
goes to the
interview.
examination. Okay. No, that is what? Initial screening, no document screening, no, yes, no application for filling, yes. You directly go to exam.
Okay. No way.
Okay.
After we select the documents.
Okay. I said, what is the first step of selection process? I think exam is not the first step in all organization. Then the process is maybe different organization to organization. There may be maybe that is a context difference, but initial screening is common in all organizations. So what about the next step? What about the next step of selection? Next to exam. Yes?
Interview.
ከኤግዛም በኋላ ኢንተርቪው ኦኬ
ከኤግዛም በፊት ያው ከኤግዛም በኋላ ውጤቱን ካደረግን በኋላ ተቀራራቢ ውጤት ያላቸው ያው ኢንተርቪው
ኦኬ ኢንተርቪው
ደግሞ ስክሪን አውት እናደርጋቸዋለን
ኦኬ what is that tasks or what is that activities exam interview so what is the next the third step is complete yes selection process is complete here okay thank you Sunny another
The other guy. Okay, sir.
okay
Sintayo.
Welcome Sintayo
Well stay, sir. In our case, the application is always the first.
okay
After the application, documents will be checked.
okay
Based on the application, later the documents will be verified. Then initial screening will be made. Among the initial screen guys, based on the job post, it may be test or maybe interview. It depends on the post.
so what are the criteria for initial screening
whether those jobs specified job items can be performed by this guy or not could be checked at that point.
okay
And educational background, say things will be seen. Then if the post requires testing, exam will be provided. If not, interview will be performed. After that, the selected person will be given the job offer.
okay so
If he accepts or she accepts, employment will be performed. If not, the second person will be called on. This is the way.
okay
Thank you, sir.
okay thank you another anyone who have an idea
May I come in?
okay
It is Adisu, doctor.
okay with you
Adisu.
thank you welcome
Yes. I think እንደኛ መስሪያ ቤት ከሆነ May I come in, Amarik?
possible
እንደኛ መስሪያ ቤት ከሆነ የመጀመሪያው ሴሌክሽን እንደተባለው በአፕሊኬሽኑ መሰረት ፋይል ሴሌክሽን ነው የሚሆነው ስለዚህ ፋይሎቹ በትክክል ሜት ያደርጋሉ አያደርጉም ኦሪጂናል እና ኮፒዎቹ የተመሳከሩ ናቸው ፎርጀሪ ናቸው የሚለው ድረስ
So what is this step? The name of this step?
The application checking step ይባላል ይሄኛው the first step ማለት ነው
Okay, what about the second?
then ከአፕሊኬሽን በኋላ which one is nearest የሚለው እንደገና ቼክ ተደርጎ በትክክል ፊት ያደርጋል አያደርግም የሚለው ቼክ የማድረግ ስራ ይሰራል ከዛ ቀጥለው ማለት ነው
Okay,
then ይሄ ቼክ ከተደረገ በኋላ after ለምን registration ላይ በስህተት የሚያልፍ ሰው ስለሚኖር then ወደ ፈተና ከመቅረቡ በፊት እነዚህ ቼክ ይደረጋሉ ስቴፕ 3 የሚሆነው ዳይሬክት የጽሁፍ ፈተና ነው then የጽሁፍ ፈተና ይፈተናል አባብ አቬሬጅ ያመጡ ሰዎች ማለፋቸውን 1 2 3 4 ተብሎ የቴስቱን ብቻ ይወሰዳል ከዛ በኋላ ቴስቱ ፕላስ የተሻለ ኤክስፒሪየንስ ያለው እንደገና ለኢንተርቪው ፋይናሊ ይሄ ሰው በጽሁፍ ብቻ ሳይሆን በአካል ፊት ያደርጋል የመሳሰሉት የሚሉትን ቼክ ለማድረግ ኢንተርቪው ላይ ይቀርባል then after interview ያለፈው ሰው ቼክ ይደረግና ዳይሬክትሊ ወደ የጤና ምርመራ ይሄዳል ማለት ነው then የጤና ምርመራ ትክክለኛ ነው ተብሎ ቼክ ተደርጎ ከመጣ በኋላ ፈርስት የሙከራ ቀጠሮ ይደረግለታል እነዚህ ስቴፖች መስለኛል
Thank you. Okay, so we'll see selection process. The first step of selection process is application blanks or resumes, which is fill application form. The next step is initial screening based on documents. Then next one is interview. Then the next one is reference. But this one is not practiced that much in our country. እናንተም እንደገለጻችሁት ቅድም ማንኛችሁም ጋር ተነሳም reference. But in international context again, reference is one of the selection process. Reference. በአንዳንድ መስሪያ ቤቶች አሁን የተጀመረ አለ 5% ምናምን ይሰጡታል reference. So reference አንዱ step ነው that is for selection to choose the best one. Then an individual he or she passes the 3 steps. The next step of the selection is test or either practical or theoretical exam. That depends on the types of job. Selection tests. If an individual he or she passes this selection test, that is either maybe theoretical or practical, then he or she directly goes to interview. So interview is two types. And the stage of initial screening and also next to exam. That is interviews will be held 2 times. Then an individual he or she passes that interview, he or she directly goes to that is the next step is physical examination. In our country context, which is known as medical examination. Physical examination is one of the process or the step of selection. In some organization or in some job, this physical examination is mandatory. Let's say when he goes to airport, an individual he or she apply for hostess. ለሆስተስ የሚያመለክት ሰው ለምሳሌ የሰው ልጅ የውስጥ እግራችን ጫማ ምናልባት አይታችሁ ልብ ብለን አይተን ይሁን አላቅም ሁለት አይነት ነው ያንዳንዶቻችን ውስጥ እግራችን ልሙጥ ነው ምንም አይነት እንትን የለውም ያንዳንዶቻችን እግር ደግሞ የውስጥ እግራችን የሆነ ክፍት የሚያሳይ ነው ሶ ሆስተስ ለመሆን ሞር ፕሪፈር የሚደረገው which one የትኛው ነው ፕሪፈር የሚደረገው he or she pass step 1 step 2 step 3 step 4 step 5 when it comes to then the 6th step in the stage of physical examination he may be failed because of his physical examination. But in the case of medical examination, no one is failed because of that is what? Physical examination or medical examination. But in some jobs, in some organization, an individual, he or she pass all the steps up to that is a physical examination. When come to here, he or she may be failed. Because it is mandatory. Let's say, as an example here, to become hostess in airport, that is physical examination is mandatory. Not only hostess, but also pilots. So, የትኛው ነው more prefer የሚደረገው ለሆስተስ? የሰው ልጅ ሁለት አይነት እግር ውስጥ እግራችን ላይ ሁለት አይነት ነው። ከሁለቱ ያለፈ የለም። አንዳንዶቻችን ልሙጥ ነው የሚሆነው ያንዳንዶቻችን ደግሞ ክፍተት እንደዚህ የሚያሳይ ነገር አለው so which one is prefer yes and why የትኛው ነው ፕሪፈር የሚደረገው yes say something yes welcome please say something yes which one የትኛው ነው የሚመረጠው አፕሊኬሽን ፎርም በአግባቡ ሞላች ኢኒሺያል ስክሪኒንግንም በዶክመንት አለፈ ወይም አለፈች ሪፈረንስንም በአግባቡ አለፈ ወይም አለፈች የሰሌክሽን ኤግዛምንም ቲዮሬቲካሉንም ፕራክቲካሉንም አለፈ ወይም አለፈች ኢንተርቪውንም እንደዚሁ ፊዚካል ኤግዛሚኔሽን ላይ ሲደረስ ግን ፌል የሚሆንበት ኬዝ አለ ለምሳሌ ሳን ኤግዛምፕል ሆስተስ ለመሆን ወይም ፓይለት ለመሆን ብለናል ሶ ፊዚካል ኤግዛሚኔሽን ማንዳቶሪ ሆነው ለምንድን ነው ለምሳሌ አሴን ኤግዛምፕል እግራችን ሁለት አይነት ነው ከውስጥ እግራችን ሶ ሆስተስ ለመሆን ዘን የትኛውን መሆን ይጠበቅብናል yes አቤት ምንም no information no idea ይሰማል ግን
ይሰማል
so say something which one
ይሰማል
እኮ የትኛው ነው ታዲያ ስለዚህ የሚመረጠው say something one of the
ምናልባት መሃሉ ክፍት ይሆን
why what is the reason
አንደኛው ከሼፕ ጋር የሚገናኝ ይመስለኛል ከዚህ ከቋቋም ጋርና
ሼፕ ላይ ለውጥ ያመጣል የውስጥ እግር ክፍት መሆንና ልሙጥ መሆን
አረማመድ ላይ ሼፕ ላይ ለውጥ ያመጣል ብዬ አስባለሁ
ስማማላችሁ ሌሎቻችሁ አረማመድ ላይ ለውጥ ያመጣል እንዴት እግር ክፍት መሆንና ልሙጥ መሆኑ አረማመድ ላይ እንዴት ነው ቄንጠኛ ለመሆንና አለመሆን በሱ ይወሰናል so what is the reason your answer is correct but the reason is
ሩጫ ላይ ደግሞ ያለ መድከም ሁኔታ አለ መሰለኝ በተለይ ይሄ ሙሉ እግር ሲያርፍና እንደዚህ በክፍተት ሲከ ማለት ሩጫ ሰማይ መሳሰሉት ላይ ዞሮ ድካም ላይ ልዩነት አለው ሚል እንትን አለው ከሌሎች አዎ
ስለዚህ የትኛው ነው ማለት
ይሄ መሃሉ ክፍት የሆነና በተለይ የኋላ እግር መሬት የማይነካ ከሆነ ሩጫ ላይ ተወሰነ የቆይታ ጊዜው የድካም እንትኑ የሚቀንስበት ሁኔታ አለ
so yes it is correct actually ትክክል ነው ሯጮችም እኮ በሚያለማምዱበት ሰዓት ትሬኒንግ ሲያሰሩ የኋላ እግር እንዲረግጥ አይመክሩም እና ከፊት እግር የፊት ጥፍር ብቻ እንዲረግጥ ነው አድቫይስ የሚያደርጉበት ቅድም ካልነው ኮንቴክስት ግን ይለያል ቅድም ያልነው ኮንቴክስት ግን ዘን ሆስተስ ለመሆን ፓይለት ለመሆን አንዱ የመጀመሪያው ብዙ ጊዜ ሆስተሶች ኤርፕሌን ውስጥ አይታችኋቸው ከሆነ በሽፍን ጫማ ሳይሆን በግልጽ ጫማ ነው የሚንቀሳቀሱትና አንደኛ አየር በአግባቡ እንዲተላለፍ ሁለተኛ ድምጽ እንዲቀንስ በሚል ምንም እንኳን አጠቃላይ ፕሮሰሱን ያለፈች ወይም ያለፈ ሰው እዚህ ስቴፕ ላይ ሲደርስ አውቶማቲካሊ ሪጀክት ነው የሚደረጉት ብዙ ሰዎችን በዚህ ፌል የሆኑ ሰዎች አሉ so ስለዚህ ፊዚካል ኤግዛሚኔሽን is one of selection process element በእኛ ሀገር ኮንቴክስት ግን የተለመደው ሜዲካል ኤግዛሚኔሽን ነው medical examination then simply as a requirement no በእኛ ሀገር ኮንቴክስት no one is failed by that exam result then the next step is job offer or hearing that is placing that take the employment letter that is job offering so selection has such process then next we'll see influence affected or influenced by two major factors internal environment and external environment internal environment human resource planning selection procedure policies program agendas and strategies and that is managers all these are factors which influence selection process. External environment, government policy, government rules and regulation, inflation, labor market, all these are a factor which influence selection process. So selection influenced by these two major factors, internal. So the next element of human resource management is orientation. That is the first step is job analysis or element. The second element of human resource management is that it's human resource planning. The next one is recruitment, then selection. Next to selection, that is what? Orientation. But which one comes first? Orientation or induction? Which comes first? Induction or orientation? Both are the same. Both are the same. Orientation and induction. Which comes first? Which one? Yes?
Orientation comes first. Orientation. Orientation.
Okay, orientation comes first. So the next one is
orientation comes. It gives by human resource employees about a company.
Okay, orientation. So
induction mean about work, about the job. Yeah, his responsibility, duties, responsibilities, and others. How to, practically.
Okay. Which one?
Practically
induction?
Work. Yeah, that is induction. So orientation is overview about the company, the salary, and other things.
Okay. Okay.
So orientation comes first, and after that, induction is at the last for the department, which have select or which have needs the employees.
Okay.
Or the employees department.
Okay, thank you. So we'll see one by one. The first one is induction. Induction is a process of simply receiving and welcoming of newcomers or new employees. Simply welcoming and receiving. Then at this time we are talking about that is organizational mission, organizational vision, organizational value, organizational motto, organizational rules and regulation, and organizational culture. And then we try to that is what create a smooth environment or a relationship with existing employees, which is what? Induction. So when I've seen induction is totally talking about a general issue, not talk about a specific issue. So because of that, induction is come first. Induct means that is what? Induct. Simply inject something. Same when an individual who comes first. So simply receiving a welcome, maybe that is what then prepare then get together or welcome ceremony or others. So this which is known as induction. If we are talking about that is specific issue about his or her job, about his or her duty and responsibility and activities or tasks, that is known as orientation. So orientation is a planned interaction of new employees to his or her jobs, co-workers, and organization. So induction is come first, then orientation. Welcoming when የመልካም አቀባበል ፕሮግራም እናዘጋጅም ከሆነ or simply አቀባበል ማድረግ that is known as induction። ስለ ተቋሙ አጠቃላይ ነባራዊ ሁኔታ ማሳወቅ then that is known as induction። ስለሚሰራው ስራ then ግዢ ክፍል ነው የምትሰራው then ሚስተር ኤክስ ወይ ሚስተር ዋይ ከምትባል ወይም ከሚባል ጋር ነው የምትሰራው ፋይሉ ይሄ ነው ዶክመንቱ ይሄ ነው ኮምፒውተር ውስጥ እንደዚህ አይነት ፋይል አለ ምናምን የምንለው ከሆነ if you are talking like this that is what orientation. That's near to training, not near to training. So induction has 4M. Induction has 4M. One of the aim of induction is to smooth the preliminary stage when everything is likely to be strange and unfamiliar to the starter. Because the መጀመሪያ impression matter ያደርጋል ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ ያገኛችሁት ሰው ተቆጥቶ ምናምን ፊቱን አጥቁሮ ብትገናኙት ወይም ብትተዋወቁት the next day if whether he or she happy or not then once already you, then what? Conclude he's not happy. He have not smile face. በቃ whatever any case በማንኛውም ሁኔታ ቢሆን በቃ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ የተገናኛችሁ ሰው ደስተኛ አድርጓችሁ በጥሩ ሁኔታ ፈርስት ኢምፕሬሽን በጣም ወሳኝ ነው። ሶ አዲስ ወደ መስሪያ ቤት የመጣን ሰው ያንዳንዱ ሰራተኛ ቦታ ወይ በቃ የሆነ ቦታ ቢጠይቅ እንኳን ያንዳንዱ ሰው እዛ ነው እዚህ ነው ምናምን ነው በዛ ጋር በዚህ ሄዶ ምናምን የሚለው ከሆነ ስለ ተቋሙ ቢልድ የሚያደርገው ኢሜጅ ቶታሊ ሮንግ ነው የሚሆነው። ባድ ኢሜጅ ነው ቢልድ የሚያደርገው። ሶ ኔክስት ዴይ ከዛ በኋላ ባለው ታይም ኦር ዘ ኔክስት ታይም ላይ ጓደኛ ለመሆን ወይም ጥሩ ለመሆን ለመቅረብ ምናምን ቢሞከር ማይንዱ ላይ አንዴ ኦልሬዲ ቢውልድ ስላደረገ ባድ ኢሜጅ so that is not good. So the induction is important for new employee or for newcomers to create a smooth environment, a smooth relationship in organization with existing employees. So induction, it is first aim is to create a smooth environment. Then the next one is to establish quickly favorable attitude to the company in the mind of new employees so that he or she is more likely to stay in that organization, which means to reduce turnover. በቃ ኃላፊውም ሰራተኛው ምናምኑ then ፊቱን የሚያጠቁርበት ከሆነ the next day ሌላ ስራ ነው ሰርች የሚያደርገው. He or she may not be stay in that organization for a long period of time. So induction is important to do these things. Then another aim of induction is to obtain effective output from new employees in the shortest possible time, because he or she will have what? Positive image, positive attitude. When he or she have positive attitude means he or she will have what? Positive action. Which that is what? He or she will have positive behavior. When he or she have positive behavior means he or she have, that is what? A motivation. So when he or she have a motivation means he or she have a willingness to exert their effort, their energy, then come toward this accomplishment of organizational goal or objective. So induction is important to accomplish this or to do this one. በቃ ጥሩ ሲመጣ በቃ ደስተኛ ከሆነ ለምሳሌ ሲምፕል ኤግዛምፕል የሆነ ካፍቴሪያ ወይም እንደው የሆነ ምግብ ቤት ሆቴል ሂዱና አቀባበሉ ደስ የሚል ከሆነ መጠቀም ካሰባችሁትም ኤክስትራ ሄዳችሁ ልትጠቀሙ ብትጋብዙም ወይም ቲፕ ልትሰጡ ትችላላችሁ። በቃ አቀባበሉ ደስተኛ ካልሆነ ወደ ለመጠቀም አስባችሁ የነበረውንም ካንስል ልታደርጉትም ትችላላችሁ እንኳን ኤክስትራ ለመጠቀም። ሲምፕል ኤግዛምፕል ወደ መስሪያ ቤትም ስትመጡ መስሪያ ቤት ላይ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ በቃ ተቋሙ በቃ የሆነ የሚያስጠላ ድባብ አይነት ይዞ የሚቀበላችሁ ከሆነ ኔጌቲቭ ኢሜጅ ቢውልድ ታደርጋላችሁ። ከዛ በኋላ ጥሩ ነገር ብታዩም ባታዩም ያን ለማስቀየር it need long times. So positive attitude ከሌለን ደግሞ positive behavior means the reflection of attitude ውስጣችንን ያለውን then ውስጣችን happiness የሚሰማን ከሆነ then smile የሆነ ፌስ እናሳያለን ወይም ጥሩ bright የሆነ ፌስ እናሳያለን። ውስጣችን ፊሊንጋችን ደግሞ ባድ ከሆነ የምናሳየው physical expressionችን then that is not good. ስለዚህ one or another way in our productivity ላይ impact አለው or effect አለው. So induction is important to achieve this one. Induct ስናደርገው ለመጀመሪያ ዌልካም ስናዘጋጅ ጌት ቱጌዘር ምናምን ስናዘጋጅለት ዌልካም ስንለው ፖዚቲቭ ኢሜጅ ቢውልድ ያደርጋል። ፖዚቲቭ ኢሜጅ ካለው ደግሞ ዘንዋል ሞቲቬሽን ይኖረዋል፣ ሞቲቬትድ ይሆናል፣ ጆብ ሳቲስፋክሽን ያገኛል። ሳቲስፋይድ ከሆነ ደግሞ ያለውን አቅሙን፣ ጉልበቱን፣ እውቀቱን፣ ጊዜውን በተቋሙ ራዕይ፣ ተልዕኮ፣ ሚሽን አጠቃላይ ስኬት ላይ የራሱን አስተዋጽኦ ያደርጋል። So induction is important to do this one. So induction የሚሰጠው ለዚህ ነው። The aim of induction is to achieve this one. Another aim of induction is to reduce the likelihood of employees leaving quickly, which means to reduce or minimize turnover. It is impossible to avoid turnover in all conditions. turnover ቶታሊ ማጥፋት አንችልም በት መቀነስ እንችላለን ሶ ኢንዳክሽን አንዱ የተርንኦቨር መቀነሻ ነው ስለዚህ ኢንዳክት የምናደርገው ተርንኦቨርን ለመቀነስ ነው ሶ ኢንዳክሽን it has 4 aims or objectives so next to selection that is what induction next to induction the next one is orientation talking about specific tasks or jobs duties responsibilities. Then next we'll see purpose of orientation, which is the next step of that is what? Induction. The purpose of orientation can be seen from two sides, or from employer side and employee side. We're now seeing the purpose of orientation from employer side. Then productivity will be increased or enhanced, turnover reduced, and organizational overview will be increased or then improve. When I say that the purpose of orientation from employee side, then there will be that is favorable employees impression or positive image in the mind of new employer or newcomers, and also enhance interpersonal acceptance or interpersonal relationship, a smooth relationship, a smooth environment, conducive environment. So orientation also has a number of important number of then what purpose. But we can see that is a purpose of orientation from two sides, that is employer side and employee side, because the purposes may be different from 2 points of view. Then the next we'll see common component of orientations. One is welcoming, the next one is meeting boss and fellow employees, the next one in completion of paperwork, benefit and retirement systems. Then another one is company policy, procedure, rules and discipline, introduction to job duties and initial training and follow-up. All these are element of orientation. Orientation is an element of so all about that is component or element of orientation. It's all about that is what recruitment, selection, induction, and orientation. So it will directly goes to another element or component of human resource management, which is about training and development. If you have any question about this selection, induction, and orientation, you can raise. Any question? Any question? Yes? If you have any question, you can ask. Any question? Before goes to that is about induction and orientation, training and development. Before goes to training and development. If you have any question, you can raise. Okay, so directly goes to the training and development. What is training? What is development? What is the difference and similarity between training and development? First, we'll see what is training. Training is the act of increasing knowledge, skill of an employee for doing a particular jobs. Which means training is what? It is an act of increasing specific knowledge, specific skills to do a specific job and task. Let's say when you do training about that is computer, Microsoft or others. That is simply what? Act of increasing specific knowledge and skill to use what? Computer. We can't use that knowledge in another area, another than what? Tasks or job. That training is directly that is apply how to use computer. It is important to use a computer. That is not training. That is what? That is not development. Sorry, that is training. So training is an act of increasing knowledge and skill, specific knowledge, specific skill to do specific jobs or specific tasks. So it is a short-term process utilizing a systematic and organized procedure by which non-managerial personnel learn technical knowledge and skill. So the purpose of training is to bring about improvement in performance of work. That is the purpose of the two. That is both training and development is to improve performance of performer or employees. የሁለቱም አልቲሜት ግባቸው ዘን አፈጻጸምን ማሳደግ ነው። የሁለቱም አቤት ማስታወቂያ ተናግሬ ነበር አይደል? ማስታወቂያው አልሰራም ማለት ነው። ማናገር ስትፈልጉ ቀድማችሁ አንሚት አድርጉት። So training is that is what? The act of increasing knowledge to do specific job. But when I say the purpose of training and development, that is their purpose is the same. To improve performance of employees, to improve productivity of an organization. So we'll see the difference between the two. We'll see. First, we'll see training and development. What is the difference between the two? Training and development. So when I say training, training means learning a skill and knowledge for doing particular jobs. It is act of increasing job skill. It is the act of increasing job skill. When I say development, development means the growth of an employee in all respects. It's sharp attitude. Let's say, አሁን እናንተ እየተማራችሁ ነው? ስንት ዓመት ነው የምትማሩት? ስንት ዓመት ነው የምትማሩት? አቤት
ፌርስ 2 ዓመት ፌርስ
ታይም ፔሪድ አለው አይደል? 2 ዓመት አይደል? So it is training or development? Training or development? Which one?
Development.
So you are a trainer or a student?
Student.
Development.
Development. Why development? Why development?
Or something.
Because it is not that is act of increasing specific skill and specific knowledge, yeah? To do specific subjects. አንድ ነገር ለመስራት አይደለም ማለት ማስተርስ ዲግሪያችሁን ስትይዙ ምን ነው የምትሰሩት? በሁሉ ነገር አሁን ዘንድሮ ጀመራችሁ ከ2 ዓመት በኋላ ታጠናቀቃላችሁ። ከ2 ዓመት በኋላ ስታጠናቀቁ ምን ለውጥ ይኖራል? Many of changes are overall change in your personal life. Physically ከ2 ዓመት በፊት ክላስ ከመጀመራችሁ በፊት የሚያውቃችሁና ክላስ ከጀመራችሁ በኋላ ፊዚካሊም ትቀየራላችሁ። ማቹሪቲ ሌቭላችሁም እንደዛው ይቀየራል። የእውቀት አጠቃላይ መደረታዊ ይቀየራል። ፋይናንሻልም የሆነ ኢምፓክት ይኖረዋል። So which is what? Overall change, not a specific change. So we can say that what? Development, not training. Because you are not trainer also at the beginning. ከመነሻው trainer አይደላችሁም፣ ተማሪዎች ናችሁ አይደል? So we can say that time period አይደለም ሊሚት የሚያደርገን ለ2 ዓመት ለ3 ዓመት ስለተሰጠ ታውን ፐርፐዝ ነው። ፐርፐዙ ለምንድን ነው? That is what training means, a learning skill and knowledge for doing a particular job. So because of that, training is an act of increasing job skills, but development is overall changes. The growth of an employee in all respects or aspects. So it's sharp attitude. Because ከ2 ዓመት በኋላ ግራጁዌት ስታደርጉ አሁን ያላችሁ አጠቃላይ አስተሳሰብ ሁሉ ነገር ይቀየራል። ወይ አስተሳሰባችሁ ጥሩ ደረጃ ሆነ ጥሩ መልካም ሐሳቢ ወይም ሌላም ሊሆን ይችላል። So that is there is attitudinal change. Then another difference is the term training is generally used to denote imparting a specific skill among operative worker and employees. When I've seen development, the term development is associated with overall growth of or overall growth of a company, overall growth of employees. But when I've seen training, a specific skill among operative worker and employees. Is another difference between training and development. When I've seen another difference is training is concerned with maintaining and improving current job performance. Maintaining plus what? Improving current performance. When I've seen development, development, when I've seen development, seeks to develop competency and skill for future performance, not current, future performance. አሁን የምትማሩት የሁለት ዓመት እኮ አሁን ለምትሰሩ ስራ ዴይ ቱ ዴይ ለምትሰሩ ስራ እንዲጠቅማችሁ ሳይሆን ምንድን ነው ፎር ዘ ፊውቸር ለሚቀጥለው ትምህርት ስጨርሱ ስታጠናቅቁ ህይወታችሁንም በፋይናንሻሊም በአጠቃላይ ሁኔታ ምን ለማድረግ ነው ለመቀየር ነው for future performance whereas in training is for current performance የሆነ አንድ ቀን ሁለት ቀን ወይ የተወሰነ ቀን ለምሳሌ ስለ ኮምፒውተር ስልጠና ብትወስዱ አሁን ኮምፒውተርን እንዴት መጠቀም እንዳለባችሁ እንድታውቁና አሁን እንድትጠቀሙ ነው አፕላይ እንድታደርጉት ነው then development ከሆነ ግን for future so because of that training is short term perspective development is long term perspective like short sight and long sight. Whereas another difference between the two, training is job-centered in nature, but development is career-centered in nature because it is overall development, overall change, overall improvement, even if that is attitudinal change. So because of that, training is job-centered, development is career-centered. Whereas another difference, the role of trainers supervisor is very important in training, but when it comes to development, they may not be important. They may have not any importance in overall development because human being by naturally then will build or we then may have different changes without any support, without any advice, without any training. ሰው ልጅ በተፈጥሮ ውልሲ እናያለን የእድገት ደረጃዎች አሉት ስለዚህ ትሬኒንግ ኖርም አልኖርም ሱፐርቫይዝ ሰው አደረገም አላደረገም ሰው በራሱ ለውጥ እያሳየ ማቹርድ እየሆነ ዘን ኦቨራል ዴቨሎፕመንት እያሳየ ይላል በትሬኒንግ ግን ትሬነር and supervisor they are very important but when it comes to development they have not any importance but they may have importance but that is not mandatory. They are not mandatory in development. This is all about that is training and development difference and similarity. But when I say the training and development similarity, not only this, there are a number of difference. Those are major difference between the two. We can then investigate further. You can investigate further what is the difference and similarity, training and development. Please Google on this issue. What is the difference in similarity, training and development? I will ask you next class. Training and development. This is major. So when I conclude, then training is the act of increasing specific knowledge, skills to do specific job. Then development is an act of increasing overall aspects. Next, we'll see objective of training and development. The major objective of training and development is for better performance as an individual context or as an organizational context. For both, that is for individual or for organization, for better performance, which is one of the objectives of training and development. Another one is to reduce, that is what supervision, which for to create less supervision. because ማቹርድ ስለሆነ ሰው ፎሎ አፕ አይፈልግም ራሱን በራሱ ማኔጅ ያደረገ አድሚኒስትሬት ያደረገ ይሰራል ነው ሎጂኩ ስለዚህ ዴይ ቱ ዴይ የት ወጣ የት ገባ በየት ነው ምንድነው መባልን አይፈልግም ስለዚህ ይሄን ሌስ ሱፐርቪዥን ለመፍጠር ያግዘናል which is one of the object of training የምንሰጠው ሌስ ሱፐርቪዥንን ወይ ፎሎ አፕ ለመቀነስ ነው another one is economy in use of material and equipment to use that is what resource efficiently and effectively, which is another objective of training because ሰው ሲያቅ ሀብትን በአግባቡ ይጠቀማል that is what extravagant አይሆንም ሪሶርሶችን እንደ አያባክንም which is the objective of training and development another one is increased moral what is moral what is the similarity or difference between morals mood motivation, and attitude. Moral. What is moral? To increase the moral, what does mean it? To increase moral. What is moral? What is increase moral? What does it mean? ብዙ ጊዜ እንላለን ዛሬ ሞራሌ ጥሩ አይደለም እንላለን what does mean it ዛሬ እንደውም ሞራል የለኝም ምናምን እንላለን what does mean it when you have to say today I have no moral what does mean it what is your message yes
I didn't have a motivation to work.
Okay, no motivation. That is so moral is directly linked with motivation. Motivation.
Yes, right.
Okay. What about mood? Mood.
Mood.
What is mood?
It depends on your feeling, whether you get mad, angry, or you had a terrible day. So
mood is. So mood can align with or can make similar with that is attitude. Attitude. Moral directly related with motivation and mood directly related with attitude. You can say like this. We can say like this. From your idea, then moral is can link with that is motivation, which is similar with that is motivation, and mood is directly similar with attitude. I'm correct? Yes? So morally የለም moral የለም ምናምን እንላለን ዛሬ ሙዴ ጥሩ አይደለም what does mean it ዝም ብለን ነው የምንለው ነው ብለን አናውቅም እስኪ ብሎ የማያውቅ ሰው ዛሬ ሙዴ ጥሩ አይደለም ብሎ የማያውቅ ሰው ሞራል የለኝም ብሎ የማያውቅ ሰው anyone ኧረ እኔ ብዬ አላውቅም የሚል ሰው so if you have to say what does mean it what is the message when you have to say today I'm not moral yes yes possible with you
ሙድ ማለት ነው የሆነ ደስ የሚል ሙድ ይሄው የፀሐይ ብርሃን ሊሆን ይችላል ጧት እንደሳ በጣም ደስ ብሎ ሊሆን ይችላል ወይም ደግሞ ሌሊት እንቅልፍ ሳይወስድ አድሮኝ ሁሉ ነገር ሙሉ ነው ብዬ አስባለሁ በዛ ሴንስ ቢሮ ገብቼ ስራ ላሰራ ይችላል
so that is mood or moral
that is mood
what about moral
moral የሆነ የተነሳሽነት ፍላጎት ቀደም ግርማ እንዳለው ማለት ነው የተነሳሽነት ፍላጎት የስራ ፍላጎት ይሄ የአካባቢ ሊሆን ይችላል ያለቃ ሊሆን ይችላል የቢሮ አቶሞስፌር ሊሆን ይችላል የተማሪ አሁን ላንተ የተማሪ አቀባበል ሊሆን ይችላል ያንተ የተማሪዎች የምታስተምረውን ትምህርት የሚቀበሉ ከሆነ በትክክል የተናገርከው ነገር አክሴፕት የሚያደርጉ ከሆነ ያ ላንተ ሞራል ይሆናል ማለት ነው
ኦኬ
ነው ምረዳ
ኦኬ thank you okay thank you so when I've seen yes
hello
አቤት yes
ምናልባት ሙድ የሚለው ምናልባት የሆነ የመመሰጥ ዝንባሌ ያለው ይመስለኛል
ኦኬ
የመመሰጥ ዝንባሌ ያለው ይመስለኛል ስለ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ሰዎች የሆነ ነገር ላይ ያሉ የሆነ ሌላ ከሚሰሩት ወይ ከሚያከናውኑት ከነበሩበት
ኦኬ continue like ጨርስ
ተመልሼ መጣሁ እንትን ኔትወርኩ ነው
ኦኬ እሺ
እና ምናልባት እንደዛ ሲገጥማቸው ሙዴን ሰረቀኝ ሙዴን እንደዚህ ያረጋችኝ የሚሉት ነገር አለ ምናልባት ከነበሩበት ሌላ ሰው ሲመጣና ምናልባት የመመሰጥ ወይም አንድ የሆነ ነገር ላይ የማከናውን ያቺኛው አቅጽ እንትን ይመስለኛል ያ ወጥነት ያለው ሙድ ምንለው ልክ እንደ ባህሪ ምናምን ወስደው ሳይሆን በሆነ ሰዓት ላይ ሊከሰት የሚችል መስለኝ
ኦኬ thank you ሰለሞን so moral is directly aligned with that motivation. Today I don't have that is a moral means. Today I don't have what motivation. I don't have that driving force to do anything, to do more and more, to study, to do many of things. Moral የለኝም ማለት ኢንስፓየር የሚያደርግ ቀስቃሽ ኃይል የለኝም ለመስራት ተነሳሽነቱ የለኝም so I don't have that is what motivation የለኝም driving force የለም inspire intrinsic or extrinsic drive የሚያደርግ to do anything ምንም ቀስቃሽ ኃይል የለም ማለት ነው that is moral so moral can say that is motivation when I think mood is feeling mood means positive feeling and negative feeling. So that you can say that attitude. So when we have a positive feeling, that means we have a positive attitude. So at that time, then we have what? Then initiation to do anything. That means we have a positive feeling. So moral. So ራሱ የሆነ በቃ እንትን ሲሆን ታዩታላችሁ በቃ ለመስራት ለማድረግ በቃ ዛሬ እንደው ምን ሆነ ይሄ ሰው ምን ልበት ሁኔታ አለ ሶ ምን ሆኗል ማለት ነው ውስጡ ላይ ፖዚቲቭ ፊሊንግ አለ ማለት ነው በቃ እንደውም አንዳንድ ጊዜ በተለምዶ ዛሬ ቅሞሮ ነው የመጣው እንላለን አይደል አንዳንድ ሰው እንትን ሲሆን ለመስራት በቃ በጣም ለመስራት ኢነርጂቲክ ሲሆን ምን አለ ማለት ነው ውስጥ ኢንተርናሊ ፖዚቲቭ ፊሊንግ አለ he or she have positive feeling or positive attitude so because of that he or she is ready to do more and more so moral is can align with that is make similar with that motivation and mood is related with attitude so one of the objective of training and development is to increase moral which means to increase the motivation of employees and another one is to create uniformity and standardization in all area, in all tasks and in all department and section or units. Another objective of training and development is to ensure less training time or to reduce training time and to make effective management in the organization. And another one is to fill human resource requirement, which is another objective of training and development. It's all about objective or aim of training and development. When I see the process of training and development, first we'll see training process. So training process have 5 elements. So the first one is identification of training need, which means identification of training needs. Training need. Training ያስፈልጋል አያስፈልግም from different point of view, from different aspect. When I think the reality ግን በቃ ሰው ትሬኒንግ ዝም ብሎ ነው የሚያዘጋጀው በቃ ያዘጋጃል ይሰጣል የሚሰለጥነው ዝም ብሎ ይሰለጥናል for what purpose whether that training is needed or not whether that training is important or not whether that training has an objective or not whether that training has then what ultimate goal or not without checking this one then we are directly goes to training with the yes
need assessment we have to study yes. The need assessment
that means identification of training means need assessment whether that training is needed or not is there the request of training in which area in which aspect in which issue who is the participant which means identification of training in as per what our job analysis already you have to give that is what the specific tasks specific job specific activities to all individuals so they are fit for that position or not so if they may not be fit that position so what they lack so how to fill that gap ኮንሴ ሰጠናቸው እንትናል በቃ መዘርዝር አለ የሥራ ድርሻ ከጆብ አናሊሲስ ወስደን ያንዳንዱ ሰራተኛ ወደ ስራ ዓለም ሲቀረጠር የሥራ ድርሻ የምንለው ነገር አለ እሱን ይዞ ነው ወደ ስራ የሚሰማራው ሶ ከዛ አስፔክት ለዛ ካፓብል ነው አይደለም ኮምፒተንት ነው አይደለም ሶ ምን ላክ ያደርጋል So gapun identify እናደርጋለን. So what is the first step of training, which is identification of training need. Then how? We'll see. So the second step is, if we decide training is important, then the next one is set training objective. በቃ ትሬኒንግ ያስፈልጋል። So what? ትሬኒንግ ካስፈለገ ግቡ ምንድነው ለማሳካት የምንፈልገው? For what purpose we directly, that is what, offer such trainings in this area, in this issue, then for this person to achieve what objectives. That is what? Set training objectives, which is the second step. The third one is design training method. We can use different methods. We'll see training methods. Generally, there are two types of training methods: on-job training and off-job training. So also we can use many of training methods in the case of on-job training and the case of off-job training. Then another one is the next step is administration of training program. Manage, follow, and control that whole training process. That is fourth stage or step of training, which is administration of training programs, and evaluation of training, whether that training is effective or not. But evaluation is always important in two aspects. That is before training and after training. ኢቫሉዌት መደረግ ያለበት ትሬኒንግ ከመሰጠቱ በፊትና ትሬኒንግ ከመሰጠቱ በፊት ነው። መጀመሪያ ጋፑን አይደንቲፋይ እናደርጋለን። if that gap is filled by the training or not, we can check. So evaluation is come, that is before training and after training. So the fifth step of training is evaluation of training. But when I say the reality again, but ትሬኒንግ አለ ይባላል። ብዙ most of the time ወደ ሼፍቱ ወይም የሆነ ቦታ ይኬዳል። then ትሬኒንጉን ሰው ይወስዳል ይመጣል። then ምንድን ነበር በፊት የነበረው? what they lack ምን ነበር ላክ ያደረጉት ነገር? then after training ደግሞ ምን አገኙ የሚለው ነገር አሰስ አይደረግም። so whether that training is effective or not, we don't know, because there is no any evaluation. There is no any evaluation before training and after training. At least that is the evaluation is mandatory, that is after training, whether that if training is that is effective or not. But when I say the reality again, there is no such types of activities taken by anyone. በቃ ትሬኒንግ ይሰጣል፣ መበታተን ነው። ከዛ በኋላ ሪፖርት የለ ምናምን የለ ዘን ምን የትሆነ ምን ተገኘ ምን ዘን ትሬኒንጉ ምን ድሮባክ ነበረው ምን ፖዚቲቭ ሳይድ ነበረው ሰዎች የጠበቁትን አገኙ አላገኙ ምን ነበረ? no one is assessed training. But the fifth step of training is evaluation of training. But evaluation is important, not only the end but also important before training. So we'll see first step of training, which is identification of training needs, which is a process that involve establishing areas where employees lack skills, knowledge, ability, effectively performing their job as per our job analysis. Because one of the output or the result of job analysis is what? Skill, knowledge, ability, competency, and in general, job description and job specification. Then, when I think based on Mickey entire model of training needs identification consists of the following three components, which is organizational analysis, task analysis, and man analysis. ትሬኒንግ አናላይዝ ሲደረግ ከሶስት አስፔክት አናላይዝ መደረግ አለበት። ከኦርጋናይዜሽናል ኮንቴክስት፣ ከስራው አንጻር፣ ከሰውየው አንጻር ጋፑን አይደንቲፋይ የምናደርገው ከሶስቱ ፖይንት ኦፍ ቪው አናላይዝ እናደርግ ነው። when you identify or investigate, that is the importance of training from three point of view, from three aspects or direction. That is from organizational point of view, from task point of view, from man or employees point of view. ከሰራተኛው አንፃር ከስራው አንፃር ከተቋሙ አጠቃላይ አንፃር ከሶስቱ አንፃር ስንመዝነው ምን ላክ እንዳደረጉ ምን አይነት ትሬኒንግ እንደሚያስፈልግ ኤቪደንስ ይኖረናል። So he recommend then identification of training should be analyzed or identified from 3 point of view. Then at this time we can use different data collection methods. We can use then view of line managers is one source of information, performance appraiser, another source of information, company and department plan, which is another source of information, and view of training manager, which is also this one also another source of information. Analysis of job difficulties is another source of information or the method which help to identify the need of training. So we can use 2 or 3 methods, that is to identify the need of training. But when we identify, then Mickey and Tyre, they recommend, then look things from 3 point of view. So next we'll see training methods. Majorly there are 2 types of training, on-job training and off-job training. On-job training is learning on the job itself by variety of methods. Off-job training is out of job, which is such types of training is off-job training. Then we'll see some methods on the case of on-job training and the case of off-job training. When I see types of training on the job is apprenticeship training. Apprenticeship. As a student, ለምሳሌ ተማሪ ሆኖ ተማሪነቱን ሳይተው then somewhere apprenticeship practice ይወጣል። ሰራተኛም apprenticeship ለተወሰነ ጊዜ ይወጣል። ስራው ግን አልለቀቀም። so we can say that በዛ ግን ምን አግኝቷል? ተጨማሪ ስኪል፣ ተጨማሪ ዕውቀት፣ ተጨማሪ knowledge አግኝቷል። then we can say that training. But he or she is not then one leave his or her job. They are not off in their job. So because of that, such types of training method is on-job training. Apprenticeship is one of on-job training. Job instruction training. Job instruction. እንዲያደርገው በዚህ ስሪው በደብዳቤ በምናምን በመመሪያ በምናምን በዳይሬክሽን የሚመጡ ነገሮችን እነሱ እውቀት ይሰጣሉ። So that is one types of training which is on-job training, job instruction. Another one is position rotation or job rotation, which is most of the time practiced in bank industry, which is highly practiced in bank industry. Position rotation. ለምሳሌ ባንክ ውስጥ ምሰሩ ካላችሁ ባንክ ውስጥ ያሉ ስራዎችን ኦልሞስት ሁሉም ሰራተኛ ያውቃል። because ሮቴት እያደረገ ስለሚሰራ, which is one of የሚሰለጥኑት ግን እዛው ስራቸውን ኦፍ ሳይሆኑ በስራ ዓለም ውስጥ ናቸው. because of that then the types of training is on-job training. So such types on-job training is known as position rotation or job rotation. Another one is coaching. ወይ ኃላፊ ወይም ኤኒባዲ ዘና አሰልጣኙ ሊሆን ይችላል። እዛው ስራ ቦታ መጥቶ እንዲያደርጉት እንዲስሩት ምናምን ነው። ይሄ እንደዚህ ነው ምናምን የሚያደርግ ከሆነ that is a type of training. But such types of training is on-job training. Coaching is one of on-job training. When I see off-job training, one is vestibular training. Vestibular training, like demonstration. Vestibular training. Classroom lecture, like you, which is one of on-job training, and audio, visuals, and film shows. By watching or then such outputs, that is audio and visual, we can learn or we can train. So, which is one of off-job training. Off-job training. Then this all that is off-job training and off-job training. I think this. Clear, you can read. So we'll directly goes to development. We'll directly goes to career development, because earlier we have said that is what development is. It is overall improvement, which is focused on career development. So what is career development? And first we'll see what is career. What is career? So,
may I ask, Doctor, before that, I wanted to ask some kind of things before that. Thank you very much. I was raising my hand.
Okay.
in the process of the training and development, we have seen 5 steps that I wanted or I was expecting to have some kind of things about impact assessment after having having evaluated, after having the fifth process, which is evaluation, might be pre-test and post-state exam. I hope after having taken this training and taken an exam, might be post-exam in the classroom, they will go to the work area, and where is the step which is impact assessment step in this case? This is my question.
Okay, impact assessment is not the part of the training, because we can't assess the impact learning immediately. We can't, that is, check that is the impact of training by any types of exam, because impact is maybe comes after a long period of time. We can't see or we can't look at what type of impact happens by that training. It is difficult to do that as well. Just difficult to conclude within a short period of time. So we may that is well look at the impact of training after 5 or 10 years. So because of that, that is may not be the part of the training. So because we can't decide or we can't look at the impact of training by exam or any types of assessment immediately after the training. So የመውጫ ፈተናን ብናደርግ ኢምፓክቱን አናጠናው። ኢምፓክቱን ልናይ የምንችለው ከተወሰነ ከአመታት በኋላ ነው። ስለዚህ እሱ አናዘር ፌዝ ነው። የትሬኒንግ ፌዝ ሳይሆን ሰከንድ ፌዝ ነው። ሰከንድ ፌዝ ራሱን የቻለ ፌዝ ነው ኢምፓክት አሰስመንት። because ኢምፓክቱን ኢሚዲየትሊ ስለማናየው። ለምሳሌ ሰው ምንድነው የሚሆነው? ኢንፑት አለ አይደል? የመጀመሪያው ኢሚዲየት ሪዛልቱ አውትፑቱን ልናገኝ እንችላለን። ዘን ኔክስቱ ምን ይሆናል? አውትካም ይመጣል። ዘን ዋት ኢምፓክት ይመጣል። ስለዚህ ኢምፓክት በጣም ሩቅ ነው። ምናልባት አውትፑቱን ኢሚዲየት ሪዛልት ኦፍ ዘ ትሬኒንግ ልናገኝ እንችላለን። ኢቭን ኢፍ አውትካሙን እንኳን በቀላሉ አናገኘውም። ስለዚህ ራሱን የቻለ ሌላ ነው። ለምሳሌ as an example ሰው ምንድነው የሚሆነው? ስንዴ ተፈጭቶ ምናምን ሲሆን ዘን አውትፑት ነው። ከዛ ዳቦ ምናምን ሲሆን አውትካም ይሆናል። ከዛ በኋላ ሰው ይመገበውና ዘን ዋት ተስማምቶታል አልተስማማውም። ዛሬ በልቶ ነገ ለውጡን አታዩም በሰውየው ላይ። ስለዚህ ተስማምቶታል አልተስማማውም፣ ጥሩ ነገር ያ ነገር በሰውነቱ ላይ ለውጥ አምጥቷል አለመጣም የሚለውን መቼ ነው የምናየው? ስሩ ታይም ነው። ከተወሰነ ጊዜ በኋላ ነው፣ በሂደት ነው እንጂ በአንድ ጊዜ የሚመጣ ነገር አይደለም። ኢምፓክት yes
thank you very much. Good.
Okay, so we'll directly goes to yes.
I just want to mention on this area, on the level of evaluation, which is the
okay.
All right. Basically, there is a philosophy from the Kirkpatrick level of evaluation, which is the 5 levels of training and development evaluation. The first one is reaction, which is once the after on the process of the training, which means while we deliver the training, as a trainer, we can evaluate on the basis of the reaction of the participant, which is the first evaluation. And also, after conducting the training, we'll have a feedback evaluation system. So we can finish the reaction on the process of on the whole process of conducting training. And the second one, the learning evaluation level, which is will evaluate how the learner gain the knowledge, where their skill was improved and the likes. And also in the third step, which is the behavior.
Yes.
As you said before, in the process of training, all the change will not be come on the spot. It needs a process. So we'll analyze after the training, which is the behavior. And the fourth step is result.
Okay, means we maybe look, we can maybe see that is what the behavioral change, but we can't look that is the impact of behavioral change. ቢሄቨራል ቼንጅ ያመጣ አላመጣም የሚለውን ማየት እንችላለን። ግን ያ ቢሄቨራል ለውጥ ያመጣው ሰው ምን ኢምፓክት ይዞ መጣ? ቢኮዝ የትሬኒንጉ ይዞት የሚመጣው ትሬኒንግ ሰው ሲወስድ ምን ይሆናል? በቃ እንትን የሚሆነ እኮ በጣም አስቸጋሪ የሆነ ሰው እኮ ሻይ ይሆናል። ቢሄቨራል ቼንጅ ለውጥ ያመጣል። ለምሳሌ አንዳንድ ሰው አይተህ ከሆነ እሑድ ቅዳሜ ቤተክርስቲያን ወይም መስጊድ የሚሄድ ሰው ምንድነው የሚሆነው? the next day እሑድ ቅዳሜ ሻይ ነው የሚሆናል። በቃ የተለያዩ ስብከቶችን ምናምን ሲሰማ ምንድነው የሚሆነው? በቃ የነበረው ቢሄቨር እንትን ያደርግና ሽሪንክ ያደርግና ዘን ስፖላይት ይሆናል። ዘን when it comes to Monday ወደ ሰኞ ማክሰኞ ምናምን ሲሆን ግን he totally forget and he become another person። ስለዚህ የዛን ኢምፓክት ምን ነው ሲደጋገም ግን ሄዶ ከረጅም በኋላ ያ በውስጡ ቢውልድ የሆነ እያደገ የሆነ ላይፉ ላይ ቶታል የሆነ ፐርማነንት የሆነ ቼንጅ ሊያመጣ ይችላል። የቢሄቨራል ቼንጅ ግን ልናይ እንችላለን immediately the training. Okay, anyways,
ግን አራተኛ ስቴፕ ላይ like ሪዛልቱን ካየን በኋላ ኢንአክሽን ኦን ዘ ፕሮሰስ ማለት ነው through time የምናያቸው ለውጦች ይኖራሉ ማለት ነው። የመጨረሻው የሚሆነው ሪተርን ኦን ኢንቨስትመንት ነው። እሱም after a long period of time ያ የትሬኒንግ ኢምፓክት በሪተርን ኦን ኢንቨስትመንት ያመጣውን ኢምፓክት አሰስ ማድረግ እንችላለን።
Yes. So it is correct. Thank you, Girma. Okay, are you with me, students?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So we'll directly goes to career development. First, what is career? Career is the consists of series of properly sequenced role experience leading to an increased level of responsibility, status, power, and rewards. Which means career is a sequence of position occupied by a person during the course of his or her lifetime. በህይወታችን አጠቃላይ የምናሳየው ለውጥ which is known as career ሂደታዊ ዘገምታዊ ለውጥ ምንድነው የሚሉት የሂስትሪ ባለሙያዎች የሚያመጡት እንትን አለ። የሰው ልጅ በዘገምታዊ ሂደት የመጣ ምናምን ያደገ ማቹርድ የሆነ የሚሉት so which is career is a sequence of position occupied by a person during the course of a lifetime. Then when I see the career development is an ongoing process by which individual progress. An ongoing process means it have no end. It makes a cycle. Okay, so which many are በቃ ማቆም የለውም እኮ ያድጋል ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ ይተካል ያድጋል ሰው ዑደት ነው የሚሰራው። ስለዚህ it is an ongoing process career development by which an individual progress through a series of stage each of which is characterized by relatively unique set of issues, themes, and tasks. It consists of action undertaken by the individual employees and organization to meet career aspiration and job requirement. So there are 5 career development stages. There are 5 career development stages that for every individual. So every individual goes through this 5 stage of career development. What are they? The first career development stage is explanatory stage, which is up to 25 years. It is a stage in which a person explores a possible career ambition for oneself, and it happens usually in mid-20s when one makes transition from education to or work. ከትምህርት ወደ ስራ ያ step, the whole step is known as, or stage is known as explanatory stage እንለዋለን። And experience suggests that several factors like care of parents, their interest, their aspiration for children, and their financial social children future care point. ቤተሰቦች ልጆቻቸውን የሚቀርጹበት የእድሜ ክልል which is explanatory stage. ስለወደፊት ህልማቸው፣ ስለወደፊት ራዕያቸው፣ ስለወደፊት አጠቃላይ ህይወታቸው ሸፕ የሚያደርጉበት time which is explanatory stage. Since this stage occurs prior to employment, it has least relevance for the organization. The second stage is establishment stage. Because ከትምህርት እስከ ስራ ዓለም ውስጥ አጠቃላይ ያለውን የሚይዝ that is the first stage. The second is establishment, which is this stage begin with choosing a job. ከስራ በኋላ ስራ መምረጥ ስራ መማረጥ ስራ መያዝ ምናምን safe career for oneself. This stage is marked by the first experience on the job, acceptance and evaluation by peer groups. ከቤተሰብ ወጥቶ በጓደኛ በአለቃ በመናምን መመዘንን የሚጀመርበት ሰዓት. So this is like going uphill, make a lot of efforts, spending a lot of time and energy all while. The third stage is mid-career stage, which is 35 up to 50. This stage is marked by improved performance, level of or starting distortions. This stage when one is no longer seen as learners. So for many, this is the time of assessment, job changes, adjustment of priorities, and pursuit of alternative lifestyle. ሰዎች ስራ የሚያማርጡበት አሁን ብዙዎቹ ሰዎች አይታችሁ ከሆነ በየወሩ ስራ የሚቀይሩ ምናምኑ በየ15 ቀኑ የሚቀይር ሊኖር ይችላል። ሶ አዳዲስ ነገሮችን የሚፈለግበት ዘን ወደፊት ላይፍን ስቴብል ለማድረግ ሰው የሚሮጥበት የእድሜ ክልል ማለት ነው which is middle career stage which is 35 up to 50 የሩጫ የእድሜ ክልል ወይም ዘመን የምንለው። Stage 4 is late career stage. This stage usually pleasant or enjoyable stage. ከ35 እስከ 50 ይሮጣል ከ50 እስከ 60 enjoyable stage ይባላል። Whether this is true or not in our country context, I don't know. I think it is vice versa. ደግሞ 50 60 ላይ እንደገና ሰው እንዳድስ ስራ ፍለጋ ምናምንም ኑሮ ማሸነፍም ይሯጥበት በት ኢንተርናሽናል ኮንቴክስት ግን ለ50 up to 60 stage enjoyable stage ነው መሆን ያለበት ነው። then 35 up to 50 ነው ሰው በጣም መሮጥ ያለበት which is known as middle career stage. Then the next stage is stage 5, decline stage. This is the final stage in one's career to the retire from one job or career. Impending retirement as cares. ሰዎች ወደ ጡረታ በእኛ ሀገር ኮንቴክስት 60 ነው 65 ሶ ሰዎች ሩጫውን ምናምን ምትተው ወደ ምንድነው የሚባለው በቃ ራስን ሴትል ወደ መድከም ነው አይነት ነገር መምጣት ስቴጅ that is known as decline stage. ስለዚህ የሰው ልጅ በሙሉ then career development stage አለው። Career development stage, if we pass one, or if we one of an individual, he or she may be skip or jump, he or she may not have, that is what, mental stability. Let's say when I've seen children development, yes, I'm at an astrology እንኳን ብናይ especially አሁን ባለው በእኛ ሀገር ኮንቴክስት ሳይንቲስቶች ሳይኮሎጂስቶች ምንድነው የሚሉት ህፃናት ወይም እያንዳንዱ የሰው ልጅ እድገት ደረጃዎች አሉ። እያንዳንዱን የእድገት ደረጃ በአግባቡ ማለት አለበት። አንዱን ሚስ ካረገ የሆነ ታይም ላይ ምን ያደርጋል? ሪግሬት ያደርጋል። ለምሳሌ አዛውንቶች ምንድነው ፕራክቲስ የሚያደርጉት? ህፃናት ነው የሚሆኑት ይባላል አይደል? ብዙ ጊዜ የህፃናትና የአዛውንቶች ፕራክቲስ ሞር ኦር ለስ ተመሳሳይ ነው። ለምን? ወደኋላ ሪግሬት የማድረግ ነገር አለ። ሶ በአግባቡ ማለፍ አለበት። እያንዳንዱን ስቴጅ 1 ስቴጅ 2 ስቴጅ 3 ስቴጅ 5 በአግባቡ ሰው ማለፍ አለበት። ለምሳሌ ኤግዛምፕል ህፃናቶች ለምሳሌ አሁን ጭቃ አፈር ምናምን ማውካት ምናምን የሚባሉት ነገሮች ስፔሻሊ አሁን በከተማ ኮንቴክስት ስፔሻሊ ኢን አዲስ is totally that is what ክልክል actually but ያንን የሚያደርጉት ነው ሚስ ያደረጉ ሶ የሆነ ታይም ላይ ዘን ያ እንዳለፋቸው ስለሚቆጥሩ ዘን በርጅና ዘመን ይሁን በመናምን ሲሆን ጭቃ ማውካትን እንደ ጥሩ ፕራክቲስ ይወስዱታል because ሚስ ያደረጉት ነገር ወደ ኋላ ሪግሬት ስለሚያደርጋቸው ሶ ያንን እንደውም አንዳንድ ቤተሰቦች አሁን ምን ያደርጋሉ ከገጠር ጥሩ በቃ ንጹህ የሆነ አፈር ያመጡና ግቢ ውስጥ ወይም ቤት ውስጥ ያደርጋሉ ልጆች አፈሩንም እንደፈለጋቸው ያወናሉ ጭቃም ያደርጋሉ ምናምን ያደርጋሉ ሶ እያንዳንዷን ስቴጅ ማለፍ አለባቸው ሶ ማንኛውም ሂውማን ቢንግ ዘን career development stage አለው career development stage ባግባቡ ካላለፈና ባግባቡ ካልተጠቀመበት የሆነ ታይም ላይ ሪግሬት ያደርጋል ወይም ይቆጨዋል። ከ35 እስከ 50 ምንድነው ብለናል የሩጫ ዘመን ሶ በዚህ ታይም ላይ ካልተወጣ እስከ 60 ዓመት እስከ 70 ምንድነው ብለናል ስቴብል ስቴጅ ነው። ስለዚህ ኢንጆይብል ስቴጅ ያንን ኢንጆይ ማድረግ አይቻልም። ቶታሊ ኢንጆይ ማድረጉ ሚስ እናደርገዋለን። ሶ እያንዳንዷን ስቴፕ ፕሮፐርሊ ማለፍ ይጠበቅብናል። this all about training and development. So thank you for today. We'll continue the next element of human resource management. But if you have any comment, any idea, or any suggestion, you can raise. If you have also a question, it is possible. Yes. Say something. If you have any idea, any comment, any suggestion, you can raise. Otherwise, we'll continue next. Yes? Have you a question? Have you idea?
Sure.
Yes?
No, Dr. Udentan, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Doctor.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
Okay, thank you.